ICU. The district attorney begins the mandatory shooting inquiry. Lucy's tactical execution was a textbook success, but she remains silent. The scene is secure, and the investigation moves forward. Officers Nolan and Juarez discover a female corpse in a public park. A pentagram is carved into her torso. Juarez broadcasts this detail over an unencrypted radio frequency, alerting every news, outlet, and scanner hobbyist in Los Angeles. The city enters a state of panic. This signature matches a serial killer from the early 2000s, but that investigation went cold years ago. Nolan tracks down Opal Jasper, the widow of the original suspect. He applies psychological pressure until she surrenders a hidden cigar box. Inside are the driver's licenses of the original victims. Opal admits her husband was the killer, but he has been dead for 7 years. The park murder is a copycat. Police analysts trace a series of online threats to an account named Gridiron Gangsta. The user is Conrad Battaglia, a high school football coach. Units move to intercept. Nolan and Juarez breach Battaglia's home and find his wife dead on the kitchen floor. They apprehend Battaglia near the scene. Under interrogation, he confesses to killing the woman in the park. He admits he watched a documentary about the pentagram killer and used the carving to frame a dead man. He claims he was simply tired of the victim's lies. In the final hours of the investigation, Opal Jasper sits on her porch, surrounded by police tape. She tells Nolan she found jewelry and blood-stained clothing in her home decades ago. She discarded the evidence and maintained the marriage. She chose to ignore the truth for 42 years. Officer Tim monitors a digital tripwire at LAX. A camera captures a face. It is Ray, a soldier officially killed in an airstrike 10 years ago. Ray is alive. He deserted his unit and stole $500,000 in CIA cash. Tim and Greer track him to his mother's house. They enter with weapons drawn. Ray stands in the kitchen, making a peanut butter sandwich. He does not run. He reminds them of the after-action report. To ensure Ray's family received government benefits, Tim and Greer signed a falsified document confirming his death in combat. Ray now uses this document as a shield. If they take him in, the forgery goes public. Tim and Greer will lose their badges and face prison for fraud. Ray declares himself untouchable and invites them to arrest him. They back down. Outside, the partnership fractures. Greer insists on a permanent solution. He wants to kill Ray to protect their lives and their secrets. He argues that Ray is a thief who betrayed his country. Tim refuses to commit murder. He warns Greer that if he pulls a trigger, Tim will put him in handcuffs. The two veterans stand by a vehicle, the silence between them absolute. Greer walks away. The brotherhood is over. Ray remains free, protected by the very lie intended to honor his memory. Tim is left standing in the street, his career tied to a man he is now forced to protect. Nolan enters a house where a family has been slaughtered. He pushes open a closet door and finds a toddler named Anna clutching a stuffed fox. She is the only one left alive. Nolan carries her past the bodies, covering her eyes so she does not see the blood. He refuses to send her to a state shelter. Instead, he and his wife Bailey take the girl home for the night. Bailey struggles with the sudden responsibility. A childhood trauma has left her terrified of failing as a mother. The tension peaks when Anna suddenly disappears inside the house. Bailey searches every room frantically, her voice rising as she calls the girl's name. She eventually finds Anna hidden in the back of a dark closet, repeating the behavior that saved her life during the massacre. Bailey pulls her into a tight embrace, and her fear of motherhood disappears. The couple decides to become Anna's permanent foster parents. They begin to imagine a future with her. Then, a man named Don arrives at their door. He is Anna's uncle, flown in from another state to take her home. Because he is a blood relative, the law is on his side. Nolan and Bailey have no choice but to let her go. Anna waves a small hand as she is led to a waiting car. The door shuts. Nolan and Bailey return to a house filled with toys but no child. They stand in the sudden silence of their living room, surrounded by the remnants of a family that lasted only 24 hours. The Hughes family is dead. Detectives inspect the crime scene and find a back room equipped with a deadbolt but no personal belongings. Bank statements reveal a recurring $300 payment. They conclude the family was housing a secret tenant. The tenant, Roderick, disappeared immediately after the murders. Investigation reveals that Ellis Hughes recently won a $1,500 lottery ticket. He bragged about the prize to his neighbors. Roderick listened and decided the cash was worth 3 lives. Nolan's team tracks the suspect to his mother's house. Ballistics confirm Roderick is armed with a long gun firing high-velocity slugs. The team establishes a perimeter. Roderick's mother claims her son is gone, but a creaking floorboard inside the house signals his presence. As the team prepares to enter, Roderick opens fire through the exterior walls. The heavy rounds tear through the wood and siding, forcing the officers to dive for cover. Nolan takes a position behind a metal appliance in the yard. He waits for a clear line of sight. When Roderick leans out from a window to re-engage, Nolan fires his shotgun. The blast hits Roderick in the leg, dropping him to the floor. Nolan and Juarez breach the yard, kick the rifle away, and secure the suspect in handcuffs. The investigation ends in the dirt. A family of 3 was eliminated for the price of a winning scratch-off. Detective Harper checks the emergency radio as a nuclear missile alert sounds. The city is paralyzed. She has no legal custody of her daughter, Lila, and cannot contact her ex-husband, Don. Harper drives to Lila's school and takes her back to the police station for safety. The alert ends. It is a false alarm. Don enters the precinct with a group of officers. He is there to report a kidnapping. He points at Harper and demands her immediate arrest. Harper does not deny the charges. She stands in the center of the room, facing the end of her career and a potential prison sentence. Officer Chen interrupts the arrest. She explains Harper's history to Don. Harper was a highly successful undercover detective. She held the power to choose any elite position within the department. Instead, she voluntarily returned to the streets as a training officer. Chen states that Harper made this sacrifice solely to regain a place in Lila's life. She gave up a high-level career to be a mother. Lila looks at her father and tells him that her mother promised to stop lying. Don watches Harper. He sees the desperation behind her actions. The tension breaks. Don tells the surrounding officers to stop. He refuses to press charges. He allows Lila to go to her mother. Harper embraces her daughter. The legal threat is gone, and Harper retains her badge. Don walks away, leaving the mother and daughter together in the precinct. 6 cult members stand on the ledge of a high-rise rooftop. They wear white robes and chant toward the sun. A nuclear missile alert has triggered a collective delusion. They believe the weapon is a cloak for star harvesters coming to save them. To join these saviors, they intend to jump. Officers Lopez and West arrive to find the group holding hands, prepared to step off the building. The leader, a 19-year-old named Aurora, insists their prophet, Jedediah, has dictated this path. The officers realize they cannot physically pull 6 people off a ledge simultaneously. They choose to dismantle the cult's narrative from within. They ask Aurora why Jedediah is not present. If this rooftop is the one true spot for salvation, the prophet's absence proves he does not believe his own words. The believers begin to look at each other. Lopez then redefines the terms of their faith. She argues that if their gods are all-powerful, they do not require suicide to prove devotion. Meeting them on the roof is enough. The jump is an unnecessary risk that the spirits would not demand. The logic creates a crack in their resolve. As the countdown nears its end, the cult members break their circle. They choose to wait on solid ground. Seconds later, the emergency sirens stop. A citywide broadcast announces the missile alert was a technical error. There is no celestial arrival. The prophecy is a lie, but the believers remain alive. The officers lead them away from the edge, ending the crisis through a calculated strike on their conviction. Officer Lucy Chen handles a community meeting, answering questions about drought-tolerant plants and neighbor disputes. Her training officer, Nyla Harper, watches from the doorway, dismissive of the public relations exercise. The pair moves to a storm drain to investigate a trespassing report. Chen leads the way into the dark. A suspect lunges from a hidden tent, screaming. Chen is caught off guard and pinned against the wall. The suspect is larger and aggressive. Harper intervenes, dropping the man and securing the arrest. In the aftermath, Harper confronts Chen in the tunnel. She tells Chen that her training is insufficient for the reality of the street. Harper orders Chen to hit her. Chen refuses, citing protocol. Harper repeats the order, then mocks Chen's hesitation. When Chen finally attacks, Harper parries the strike, sweeps Chen's legs, and slams her into the concrete. Harper stands over her. She states the facts. Chen is 5'6". She is not a 200-pound man. The male officers on the force cannot teach her how to fight as a woman. Harper demonstrates how to use a suspect's momentum and specific pressure points to force compliance. She explains that suspects will always test her because of her size. When she is alone against a desperate criminal, she is the only thing between them and freedom. Harper demands that Chen stop thinking like a trainee and start acting like a predator. Chen stands up, wipes the dirt from her face, and prepares for the next round. The lesson is clear. Survival requires more than just following the manual. Angela takes a private security side job for $2,000. Her client is Mingus, a high-end jewelry broker carrying a briefcase filled with $2 million in diamonds. Mingus is arrogant, treating the high-stakes transport like a game. The routine turns into a kill zone in downtown Los Angeles. A sedan blocks their path, and masked gunmen emerge with automatic rifles. They open fire immediately. Bullets shred the car's frame and shatter the glass. Angela drags Mingus behind a black SUV, pinning him against the tire as rounds impact the metal inches from his head. Mingus grips the silver briefcase, refusing to let go of the diamonds. Angela checks her sidearm. She has 9 rounds left against multiple shooters with high-capacity magazines. She realizes they are outgunned. She commands Mingus to surrender the case. He hesitates, choosing the merchandise over his life. Angela doesn't use a plea. She gives him a factual ultimatum. She tells him she has 9 bullets left before she fails to keep him alive. Mingus slides the briefcase into the open. The shooters stop firing to retrieve the diamonds, creating the necessary window for backup to arrive. Officers Bradford and West swarm the street with sirens blaring, forcing the gunmen to drop their weapons. Later at the precinct, Mingus attempts to buy Angela's loyalty. He offers her a $100,000 signing bonus and a permanent position as his head of security. Angela looks at her colleagues. She refuses the offer. She chooses the badge and her fellow officers over a massive paycheck. For Angela, her professional identity is not for sale. Officer Chen and Sergeant Harper respond to a trivial neighbor complaint about a man feeding squirrels. They encounter the homeowner, Ernie Bosch. Harper notices Bosch is missing 2 fingers. He claims it was a lawnmower accident, but the scar tissue suggests an explosive blast. Harper recalls a cold case from 2009 involving a pipe bomb and a red hair. Bosch has red hair. A quick database search reveals no military record or reported industrial accidents. The officers decide to bypass a warrant by searching his trash for DNA. Chen distracts Bosch at the front door with a fake lecture on drought-resistant plants. While Bosch is occupied, Harper raids the bins in the alley. Bosch realizes the ruse and retreats into the house. Chen follows, gun drawn, and triggers a silent alarm. Bosch stops. He explains that the house is a private demilitarized zone. The floorboards are rigged with pressure plates connected to improvised explosive devices. One wrong step will level the block. In the back room, Bosch begins wiring a massive fertilizer bomb. He intends to end his decade of hiding with a terminal explosion. Harper attempts to enter, but Chen orders her to stay back. Chen begins a calculated crawl across the living room. She uses a flashlight to identify the slight protrusions in the floor, stepping only on the structural joists. She reaches the kitchen just as Bosch prepares to connect the final trigger wires. Chen presses her service weapon against his temple. She refuses to let him disarm the device, fearing a secondary kill code. She forces Bosch out through a window, bypassing the rigged floor entirely. The bomb squad arrives as the decade-long threat is neutralized in handcuffs. Colin Hall, a retired small-town police chief, stands by his smashed car window in Los Angeles. His luggage is gone. He listens to Officer Tim Bradford cite the city's high burglary statistics, but remains unimpressed. To Colin, these numbers are just excuses for a lack of beat integrity. He claims he can identify the thief and predicts exactly where he is hiding. Inside the patrol car, Colin ignores the technology and relies on criminal psychology. He tells Bradford to look for a nearby taco truck. He even specifies the suspect's meal, tacos with extra cheese and salsa. They pull up to a street vendor, and the thief is there, eating the exact order. A brief chase ends with the suspect in handcuffs. The victory is short-lived. When Bradford attempts to show professional respect, Colin shuts him down with a clinical revelation. He carries the gene for Huntington's disease, a fatal and incurable neurological disorder that destroyed his father and sister. He informs Bradford that his daughter Rachel has a 50% chance of inheriting this death sentence. She refuses to get tested, choosing to live in a state of forced normalcy. Colin exerts maximum pressure, telling Bradford that a dedicated cop will always prioritize the job over a dying partner. He demands Bradford leave Rachel now before the symptoms begin. Later, Rachel confirms the genetic shadow hanging over her life. She explains the 20-year life expectancy following the onset of symptoms. Despite the looming collapse of her health, Bradford refuses to walk away. He rejects the father's warning and commits to the uncertain future. 10 years ago, Officer Lopez spent her first day on the job watching her partner Roland die in her arms. Now, she enters a prison hearing room to confront his killer, Russell Scanlon. Lopez delivers a testimony fueled by a decade of grief, demanding the board reject Scanlon's parole. Sergeant Wade Gray prepares to follow her, but he carries a secret that contradicts the department's official narrative. Just before his turn to speak, Gray tells Lopez the truth. Roland was drunk the night he was killed. He had been an addict, and Gray had personally pushed him into rehab months prior. On the witness stand, Gray ignores his prepared notes. He looks at Scanlon, and then at Scanlon's young son, watching from the back of the room. He does not ask for blind vengeance. Instead, he admits his partner was a flawed man who lost his battle with his own demons. Gray speaks directly to the murderer. He states he is not ready to forgive the crime, but he will pray that Scanlon uses a second chance to become a father worth respecting. He challenges the inmate to show his son what real responsibility looks like. The parole board ultimately denies the application, keeping Scanlon in his cell. Gray walks out of the prison, having finally traded a decade of anger for the cold, hard truth. He refuses to protect a lie any longer, choosing to honor his partner's memory with honesty rather than a false legend. Rookie Officer Lucy Chen patrols a theater during a high-profile singing competition. She enters the backstage area to retrieve a suspect's identification from the green room. A production assistant mistakes her uniform for a costume and her presence for a scheduled audition. Before Chen can correct the error, a staff member pins contestant number 21048 to her chest and shoves her through the soundproof doors. Chen walks onto the American Idol stage in full LAPD gear. She stands before Lionel Richie, Katy Perry, and Luke Bryan. The judges assume the uniform is a gimmick and ask if they are in legal trouble. Chen attempts to explain the misunderstanding, but the cameras are rolling and the momentum of the production takes over. She stands on the mark and prepares to sing. She chooses Aretha Franklin's I Never Loved a Man. The first notes are heavy and soul-stirring. Her vocal control is precise, cutting through the silence of the massive room. The judges' expressions shift from amusement to genuine disbelief. They stop talking and lean forward. Chen hits the high notes with clinical accuracy, her voice echoing off the glass walls of the studio. In the middle of her final verse, Chen's eyes lock onto her sergeant standing in the hallway. The reality of her police shift returns instantly. She cuts the song short. She does not wait for a golden ticket, a verdict, or feedback. She turns her back on the celebrity panel and runs toward the exit. She rejoins her unit and returns to her patrol duties, leaving the stunned judges behind to process the sudden silence. Rookie officer Lucy Chen receives a lead from journalist Valerie regarding a series of unreported robberies. They analyze CAD dispatch data to identify a specific criminal pattern known as a Murphy scam. Wealthy men are targeted by sex workers in luxury hotels, then robbed at gunpoint by an armed accomplice. The victims refuse to file reports to avoid public scandal. Lucy and Valerie initiate a stakeout at a high-end hotel. They observe a woman targeting Alex Cho, a prominent film producer. Valerie pressures Lucy to intervene immediately, but Lucy maintains her position. The woman leads Cho to a private suite. A male accomplice wearing a hoodie arrives shortly after, drawing a handgun before entering the room. Inside, the gunman strips Cho of his watch, cash, and phone, threatening his family to ensure silence. Lucy initiates a tactical breach. She confronts the armed suspect, disarms him, and secures the scene with a high-profile arrest. Valerie attempts to prioritize her news story over police protocol. Lucy shuts down the journalist's interference with a direct warning. She makes it clear that while the data provided the lead, the arrest belongs to the law. The operation successfully dismantles a predatory ring that relied on the silence of the elite. Lucy proves that a rookie can navigate complex data and dangerous fieldwork without compromising the badge. Elvis Grimaldi arrives at the precinct with a billion-dollar algorithm designed to predict police misconduct. He immediately flags Officer Lopez as the station's most problematic officer, citing her history as a liability. Elvis rides along to gather data, convinced his code will expose her incompetence. The data meets reality during a high-risk warrant service. Lopez ignores the digital prompts and focuses on the suspect. She identifies a bladed stance and rapid eye movement indicators of an imminent attack that no software can detect. Before the suspect can draw a weapon, Lopez neutralizes him with a single, calculated strike. The situation escalates when Elvis's own tech company becomes a crime scene. A client, driven to violence by a failed algorithm match, enters the building with a gun and opens fire. Elvis freezes in the back of the patrol car as reports of an active shooter come in. Lopez does not wait for backup. She dons her tactical vest and enters the facility. She navigates the office floor, moving past terrified employees while the gunman continues to fire. Lopez tracks the shooter's position, corners him, and ends the threat with a precise shot. She saves the life of the man who tried to end her career. A final review of the data exposes the ultimate failure of the tech genius. The algorithm did not flag Lopez for her actions in the field. It flagged her because the software confused her name with a local sex worker on a messy spreadsheet. The machine could not tell the difference between a decorated officer and a criminal. Elvis leaves the station in silence, his digital prophecy destroyed by the human intuition he failed to calculate. Officer Nolan and Harper escort 3 juvenile offenders, including Hector, into a high-security prison for a scared straight program. The tour ends when a riot erupts. Inmates seize control of 60% of the facility, guards are incapacitated, the officers are trapped deep inside with 3 defenseless teenagers. Retreat is impossible. The main gates are locked down. Nolan and Harper move the kids through the corridors as rioters break out of their cells. They learn the warden has been taken hostage in the laundry room. Without backup or heavy weaponry, Nolan makes a calculated move. He approaches Oscar, a notorious inmate with nothing to lose. Nolan offers Oscar a deal, help them rescue the warden in exchange for a television and improved visitation rights. Oscar accepts and guides the group through the service tunnels. They find the warden surrounded by inmates armed with shivs and batons. Among the rioters is Thomas, Hector's older brother. A standoff turns into a violent brawl. Thomas chooses to protect his brother, turning against the other inmates. Nolan and Harper fight through the crowd to reach the warden. They use improvised weapons to clear a path. Thomas holds the corridor, allowing the officers and the juveniles to reach the final security door. The gate slams shut, the warden is safe, and the boys are extracted. The tour meant to scare them has become a documented reality of survival. Officer John Nolan is backed into a corner. To clear his name from a corruption scandal, he volunteers for a high-risk undercover operation. His target is Ruben Darien, a powerful mob boss who has evaded the law for years. Nolan is fitted with audio bugs to record a confession. Outside, a surveillance team monitors the area with a drone, providing a high-altitude view of the transaction. Nolan arrives at the designated location alone. Darien is immediately suspicious. He demands that Nolan strip naked to prove he isn't wearing a wire. The police team watches the live feed in silence, ready to intervene. Nolan complies. He removes his jacket, shirt, and pants, standing exposed. He maintains his cover through pure grit, convincing Darien that he is a disgraced cop with nothing left to lose. He plays on Darien's ego, offering a deal that the mob boss finds credible. The plan works. Darien leads him further into the facility, but the situation quickly deteriorates into a violent shootout. Bullets fly as rival factions clash. In the middle of the carnage, Nolan stays on his target. He uses the chaos to his advantage, tracking Darien through the smoke and debris. Darien's arrogance becomes his downfall. He underestimates the man he just forced to strip. Nolan corners the mob boss at gunpoint. With the audio bugs capturing the final confrontation, Nolan secures the evidence needed for a conviction. He makes the arrest, trading his temporary humiliation for a total victory. The trap is closed, and Nolan's reputation is restored through a calculated act of survival. Sergeant Gray announces a sudden policy shift. Every rookie must complete their entire field training checklist as a primary officer before the 6-month exam. The deadline is the end of the next shift. Lucy Chen checks her records and finds she is missing 7 critical items. Her training officer, Tim Bradford, offers no sympathy. They will work until the deadline or they will fail. Lucy refuses to accept an extension. She uses the CAD system to identify high-frequency crime zones, looking for a shortcut through sheer volume. The pressure mounts as the final hours approach. They arrive at a car crash where a woman has destroyed a parking meter. Lucy documents the scene, checking off destruction of city property. The situation escalates when the vehicle owner reveals the driver took the car without consent. Lucy adds Grand Theft Auto to the list. The suspect then flees and forcibly steals a pedestrian's electric scooter. Lucy tackles her, securing a carjacking charge. When questioned, the suspect provides a fake name. Lucy notes the false identification charge. The woman then swings a fist, striking Lucy in the face. Lucy immediately pins her to the pavement for assault on a peace officer. In one chaotic sequence, Lucy clears 5 major requirements. She hunts down the final 2 tasks before the clock runs out. By the end of the shift, the impossible list is cleared. Lucy beats the bureaucracy through pure tactical efficiency and a refusal to blink. Seth Ridley returns to the police station after winning a lawsuit for wrongful termination. His colleagues watch him in silence. They know he previously lied about a cancer diagnosis to protect his career. Nolan, his assigned training officer, informs Seth that every future infraction will be documented. There is no room for error. Later, at a group dinner, Seth presents Tamara with an engagement ring. He claims it was bought with personal savings. Lucy Chen interrupts. She reveals the money came from the $10,000 settlement Seth took from the city after being fired for his lies. The room goes cold. Tamara realizes Seth is still a fraud and walks away. The next day, Seth and Nolan respond to a call at a seafood warehouse. The situation turns into a firefight with multiple armed suspects. As a gunman aims directly at Nolan, Seth moves his body into the line of fire. The high-caliber round shatters Seth's left leg. Nolan applies a tourniquet and calls for an emergency medevac. At the hospital, surgeons are forced to amputate the limb. Seth regains consciousness in his hospital bed. Tamara is waiting for an explanation. Seth finally drops the act. He admits he never had cancer. He explains that he paid a doctor to fake the diagnosis because he was failing at his job and wanted to be untouchable. He confesses he chose to play the victim because he was too cowardly to face his own incompetence. Tamara places the ring on the bedside table and leaves. Seth is left alone, having traded his leg for a truth that arrived too late. Gene stands inside a liquor store, facing a man with a loaded revolver. He does not move. He speaks with a steady voice, convincing the gunman to lower the weapon and surrender. When the police arrive, they credit Gene with saving lives. However, a routine ID check triggers a CJIC alert. A clerical error by the Nevada Department of Corrections reveals Gene was released 5 years too early. The system demands he return to prison immediately to serve the remaining time. Gene refuses to lose his family to a paperwork mistake. He flees and contacts Jose, a smuggler, to get him out of the country. Gene and his wife meet the gang in a warehouse with a bag of cash. Jose takes the money, but refuses to help. He pulls a gun, demanding more payment, and threatening to kill them both. He mocks Gene for believing a criminal would keep his word. Outside, officers Nolan and Seth initiate the live-in tactical protocol. They isolate the warehouse and move into the shadows. When the smugglers realize they are trapped, a gunfight breaks out. During the exchange, Seth steps into the line of fire to shield Gene from a shotgun blast. The police neutralize the gang and secure the building. In the hospital, the district attorney reviews the case files. They weigh Gene's bravery during the robbery against the technicality of his release. Because of his actions and Seth's sacrifice, the state waives the remaining 5 years of his sentence. The charges are dropped. Gene walks out of the hospital a free man. Influencer Tulsa live streams a high-speed car stunt on Clip Talk, driving directly into a reservoir while his girlfriend, Amy, screams for the camera. They mock the police as the vehicle sinks. Officers pull them from the water and place Tulsa in handcuffs. He continues filming the arrest, treating the patrol car like a stage for his followers. Detectives use the CJIC system to investigate Amy's background. They expect a vacuous social media personality, but the database reveals a different reality. Amy was her high school valedictorian, a debate team captain, and a 2-time national math champion. She has spent months playing a specific character to harvest a massive digital audience. Tulsa's ego eventually leads to a public disaster. He harasses the district attorney's family on camera, triggering a wave of public hostility and the loss of his sponsors. Amy does not offer support. Instead, she starts her own live stream. She reads a prepared statement, labeling herself a survivor of Tulsa's narcissism and gaslighting. She ends the relationship in front of millions. In the same broadcast, she reveals her new skincare brand, Survivor Skin. While Tulsa's career collapses into legal battles and a rehab facility, Amy secures the traffic. She converts the shared fan base into a private customer base. The math champion used the influencer's downfall to complete her own business cycle. She exits the relationship with the entire audience and a launched brand. Tulsa is the content. Amy is the owner. Abigail makes a 911 call from total darkness. She tells the operator she is trapped, and then the line cuts to silence. 11 days pass before the police track a signal to the abandoned Westview Psychiatric Hospital. Officers Nolan and Juarez move through the decaying corridors until they hear a rhythmic tapping coming from behind a solid wall. Nolan swings a sledgehammer, shattering the drywall to reveal a hidden laboratory. Abigail emerges from the dust, trembling but alive. She immediately introduces the officers to her companion, Bob. The police shine their flashlights into the room. A mummified corpse sits at a desk, its skin pulled tight over its skull. Records show this is a private investigator who went missing 6 months ago. Abigail explains that she survived on trail mix and a jug of stagnant water found in a cabinet. She spent over 260 hours in the sealed room with the body. She speaks about the corpse as if he is a living friend, claiming he was shy until he finally opened up to her. She provides specific details about a corporate conspiracy, information she insists Bob shared during their time together. The officers realize she has not just survived a physical ordeal, but has reconstructed her reality to endure the isolation. She walks out of the hospital, leaving her silent partner behind. She has returned with the truth, but her connection to the living world has been altered by 11 days in a tomb.